Thank you. I would now like to invite Shri R. Ramananji, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, for his inaugural address and to highlight on the relations between India and France and the emphasis on innovation and manufacturing. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Manpreet, and Honorable Trade Commissioner for the Embassy of France, Mr. Eric, Honorable Minister of Industry, the Government of Maharashtra, Shri Subhash Desai, Member Standing Committee of Commerce and Finance, Mr. Manoj Kotak, CEO Nord France Invest, Mr. Jan, and all the other distinguished panelists who are present today. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege for me to be able to be part of this particular virtual event organized by the Indian Chamber of International Business between the Embassy of France in India and Business France with the support of Atal Innovation Mission for conducting an online session on innovation and manufacturing, different perspectives both from India as well as from France. First of all, I hope that all of you who have logged on to this call are all healthy and hearty with practicing the safeguards that need to be practiced under these very difficult COVID-19 circumstances. And you are following the necessary advocacy of your local government institutions, as well as the institutions which you are part of have been advocating. Indeed, this particular topic is of great relevance today, not only to India, but also to different parts of the world. We are living in the midst of an unprecedented crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, that has paralyzed nations across the world, that has disrupted supply chains, that has created grievous loss of lives and livelihoods, and which has made the future of the world a bit uncertain. Uncertain about what is there further in store for us, uncertain about how employment and job creation will be affected in the post-COVID times, as every country struggles to resurrect back not only their own economy, but also the relationship with various other economies with which they have been so dependent and upon which much of a country's progress has been resilient on. Now, in India, of course, it's a large country, but what is most important is India has had a tremendously positive relationship with France through the years. And that is evident through the number of global collaborative schemes that we have worked upon, both with France as well as affecting not only India and France relationship, but also bringing many products and bringing solutions for the rest of the world. And the other thing is that India shares many, many common things with France, both in terms of the needs of the nation, the democratic setup that is there, the values that we espouse, and the ability to combine the skill, which is there in France, the innovation, with the scale that is needed for solutions in India. India is a large country, 1.3 billion people, and therefore we have tremendous demands. It is one of the fastest growing economies of the world prior to the COVID-19 disruption that has happened. It has the youngest population in the world. We have what they call as a demographic dividend, which is the envy of many a country, with more than 65% of our country under 35 years old. We have 150 million young students who are going to be moving from schools, universities, more than 1.4 million schools, more than 10,500 engineering and related institutions, and more than 39,000 colleges. And they will be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. Now that's a tremendously large youthful energy that is there at the behest of a nation to be able to serve not only the needs of the nation, but also the rest of the world. And India has also been growing from an economic point of view. So we have more than 300 million Indians today who are in the middle class and rising economy. Of course, India still has its problems, with 22% of our country below the poverty line and 44% of our country which is agri-economy based. But that also represents the opportunity for collaboration between India and France to be able to address, not only to bring economic good and economic prosperity to both the countries, but also to be able to bring tremendous amount of social impact and social innovations, which is necessary for a healthy society and for a healthy world. Both the countries have espoused climate change, which is a very, very important initiative that both the countries and the prime ministers have been advocating, not only within their own countries, but to the rest of the world. And this is again a great opportunity for us to be able to address not just the economic progress that we all look for, but also to see that we live in a healthier, better world of the future. Now, in all of this, manufacturing is going to play a very big role in the resurrection of the Indian economy. And there is a wonderful opportunity, as the Honorable Prime Minister has very eloquently expressed in his clarion call to the nation on an India which is able to stand and leverage the 5 pillars that are very important to the nation. The first pillar that he has talked about is the pillar of the demographic dividend. Like I mentioned, we have the young people in the country. We have a youthful energy workforce that is the envy of many a nation. But we have to ensure that this demographic dividend does not become a demographic nightmare. And in order to do that, we have to ensure that we create a nation of job creators and not just job seekers. And that is why the Government of India has launched many initiatives spurring innovation, spurring entrepreneurship, spurring Make in India and the manufacturing movement, and spurring a nation towards ensuring that there is uniform growth of the nation, not just in a few metro cities that we have, but we are a country with 715 districts. We have 8,000 towns and cities. We have 600,000 villages. And therefore, the second pillar that he identified was the pillar of infrastructure. How do we ensure that we bring innovation, entrepreneurship to developing a world-class infrastructure across the length and breadth of our country? Now, developing a world-class infrastructure means several things. We also need to ensure that we have thousands of smart cities in India. Like I said, we have 8,000 towns and cities in our country, but they are not developed, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities. And there is a huge problem of migration which happens to this 8 tier 1 cities. How do we ensure that we build smart cities, smart transportation systems, smart energy, smart water management, electricity for all, affordable housing for all, and to be able to bring the benefits of access to education, technology, healthcare, clean drinking water and sanitation, and waste management to every nook and corner of our country. Therein lies a great opportunity for spurring the micro, small, and medium industries of India, the MSME industry. And the MSME industry is primarily revolving around the manufacturing industry or supporting the large manufacturing giants. Now, India has been focusing on education in a very big way. So that is reflected in the fact that we have grown $190 billion ITES industry over the last 10 years. That's an amazing growth for a nation which is just recently got introduced into the IT world about 15, 20 years ago. And it has been amazing to see how the Indian professionals are now working for countries all over the world, including in France, in Europe, in the most advanced economies. And all of them are also setting up major R&D centers in India. Now that is very important when we look at the third pillar, the pillar of technology. The pillar of technology is relevant to everything that we do between the two countries. France has great advanced technology in the areas of Industry Revolution 4.0, whether it be in 3D printing and robotics, in sensor technologies, in Internet of Things, in advanced automation techniques, in transportation systems, in aircraft and aerospace engineering, in space sector, and so on. And these are also the areas that India and Indian students are doing a wonderful job in acquiring these skills and being able to implement them for solutions for countries and for companies abroad. The $190 billion IT/ITES industry is primarily servicing the needs of major corporations in Europe, in the United States, and the rest of the world. Now, how do we harness that? In order to drive innovation and entrepreneurship partnerships between France and India in the areas that are of mutual interest, both to France as well as to India. The Government of India has had a tremendous thrust on Make in India, as well as boosting manufacturing in India. And this is where we have to see how French technology and French companies who are interested in tapping not only the opportunities that India represents, the 1.3 billion people represent, but the world represents, because India can become a hub for innovation and for providing solutions, and as a manufacturing hub for the rest of the market, in the Asian market, in the Asian Pacific market, and perhaps to the global market. And then comes the pillar of socio-economic progress. That is a pillar which needs to be built along with whatever we are doing on the economic front, and how do we leverage technology for the purposes. So it is very important. India still has 700, and out of 715 districts that we have, 115 of them are called aspirational districts. They're called aspirational districts because they are in the bottom of the pyramid in terms of access to healthcare, education, manufacturing, waste management, affordable housing, and even access to clean drinking water. You have to be able to raise these aspirational districts to the level of normal districts and beyond. We also have 600,000 villages in our country. And in order to bring relief and to bring prosperity to the country, one has to ensure that community innovation centers are set up, which would encourage local job creation and local innovation. This is why the Atal Innovation Mission, of which I'm very fortunate to be a part of, is involved in driving innovation entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of the country, from a school level to right to an industrial level. At a school level, we have launched thousands of tinkering labs for school students so that they can get familiar with the latest of technologies like 3D printing, robotics, IoT, and so on, through do-it-yourself kits. Now, herein lies an opportunity again for France and India to collaborate on the education front and see how we can combine the resources of both the countries to be able to bring state-of-the-art education, especially in a world dominated by COVID-19 today. How do we bring remote education, distance education, and other collaborative tools, leveraging augmented virtual reality for the benefit of education and skill development? And we are setting up world-class incubators across the country. More than 400 to 500 incubators are present in India today, which is fostering thousands of startups. The world is going to be dominated with new startups, with new ideas in a post-COVID-19 world. Especially in the areas of manufacturing and component manufacturing, you're going to have a number of startups leveraging IR 4.0 in automation, robotics, and so on. How do we engineer a collaboration between Indian startups and French startups so that we are able to address the opportunities not only for France and India, but also for the global market? The third is we are setting up community innovation centers called Atal Community Innovation Centers. And these are to serve rural India, underserved, unserved regions of the country. And the needs there are very basic needs: transportation needs, need for highways, and need for access to from the cities to the villages so that you are facilitating communication. You need 5G technologies, communication technologies to be implemented in a country as vast as India. You have tremendous set of opportunities to be able to address. And as I've always maintained, India is a country of 1 billion people with 1 million challenges. But 1 million challenges are 1 million opportunities for us to go after and make sure that they become into products and companies. And finally, it is important to see how we can work on a regulatory and a policy front together to enable and incentivize private sector in participating more and more in government initiatives. So while this is a conversation that we are having with many government representatives here, it's very important for us to ensure that a dialogue between private sector and between the private sector and the government and also the civil society enables us to tap the manufacturing, the IR 4.0, the automation, and the technology-driven opportunities that exist for us to make a better world to live in. I do hope that this conference will lead to some very constructive suggestions and ideas from everyone who is present, from the distinguished panel of speakers who are present. But more than anything else, I think the combination of the goodwill that exists between the two nations, France and India, the availability of skills at a very different level as compared to many other nations, the commonality of interests that binds our nations together, and the opportunities that present themselves in a post-COVID world are things that can drive manufacturing, collaboration, and collaboration in many other sectors for the benefit of both the nations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share a few thoughts on this particular occasion.
Thank you so much, Ramananji. It's been an honor and pleasure to have you with us, and your point of views are always an insight. Thank you so much once again. And I would really like to highlight on the points that you've mentioned, especially when it comes to the demographics, the 115 aspirational districts that we have. In fact, just a few days ago, our MSME Minister, Shri Niti Aayog, also pointed out the same. And the difference between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities and the villages. So that is something that was really need to highlight it, and what innovation can do to these villages to convert them into smart towns and villages, and in turn the cities also. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I would now like to invite Mr. Eric Fiolet, the Trade Commissioner for the Embassy of France in India. Welcome, sir. It's been an honor to have you with us today. Can we please have your keynote address? Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Manpreet Singh, and I'm very happy and honored to be participating in this Indian Chamber of International Business conference today about innovation and manufacturing, a French perspective, but I should say the French and Indian perspective. As you know, we want to share more between our two countries in the industrial sector, and I will just tell you why we want to do so. So I'm putting my, just 1 second. So we'll see. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it. Yeah.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, sorry for that. So we have a trustful and strong partnership with India, as you know, and as our president said when he came to visit India, that France is the key entry point to the EU for India, especially after Brexit. And we want also to be India's best partner in Europe. And we are building this very strong Indo-Pacific dialogue as well to be a key partner of India in the coming years. Just a word about who we are. So as you, Manpreet said, I'm the Trade Commissioner for France at the French Embassy. I'm the head of Business France. Business France is a French government agency to support and to the international development of the French economy. We foster exports. So we have all the French business, SMMEs, industrial company to go outside France and to make partnership with a foreign partner outside the country. We also promote and facilitate international investment to France. So we help Indian company, Indian groups, all size of company to go in France, to invest in France, in any region of France. And we are running a very interesting young talent program called VIE. We have currently 100 of those young talents in India. So I have a team in 4 cities of India, the main office being New Delhi. We have Anne Desmond in Mumbai. Vianney is in Bangalore, covering Chennai, and we have in each city specialists of all the sectors of the industry, the agro industry, the tech industry, and the lifestyle and healthcare industry. It's a total of 35 people that we have in India, and they all try to help Indian or French businesses. Just to remind you, but I think that last week you all view that you're all seen that our Minister for Defense came for the induction ceremony of the 5 Rafale fighter jet France has delivered to India. This is a remarkable defense partnership. It tells quite a lot about how strong is our relationship on the political and also on the industrial level, as we have a lot of offset to deal with this contract from Dassault. The strategic relationship with India is also focused, of course, on business, and you will see how, on IT sector, on university, and France has just reopened visa for Indian students last month. They can now go to France to study in France again. We have a very strong partnership in scientific and cultural sector as well. And during the COVID, India was one of the very first countries to help France with exporting some masks and medical goods to our country at the peak of the COVID and the lockdown in France. And France has reciprocated the same kind of assistance last July with French Air Force aircraft delivering equipment for Indian hospitals. So, as you can see in figures and on the more bilateral trade side, France is the 15th commercial partner of India and the 4th within Europe. And we are the 9th largest foreign investors in India, with approximately 8 billion euro invested in your country. The bilateral trade is quite balanced, actually. As you can see, we import more than we export to India, but at the end, I mean, it's a lot of imports that we do currently, 8.57 billion last year, and we exported 7.3 billion to India. Mainly in manufacturing goods and equipment for and machine industry. That's the main export to India. The presence of French company, as you can see, is nicely spread across India in all the states, with a dominant presence in Maharashtra, in Mumbai and Pune, but also in Delhi. We have about 507 French companies employing 350,000 people. Most of the biggest group of France from our stock exchange are represented in India and are very active with industry in India, such as Alstom, L'Oreal, Renault, Safran. Citroën is building a factory and will launch in a few months a new car. So, and Pernod Ricard in the agro business. On the other side, and we want to work with Audrey and Jan, that you will listen after me. We want to work on that because we think that the Indian presence in France is not sufficient. It could grow. We have seen that for the last 2 years, more and more Indian groups, the main groups, of course, are interested by investing in France as a key hub for Europe and sometimes for Africa as well. And Audrey will develop on that. So we have currently 120 Indian companies with a portfolio of almost 200 million euro of investment in France. And we have seen as well that Indian companies based in the UK are also moving their decision centers from London to the European continent, and most of the time they choose France. On the main sector, you can see that software and IT services are very, very active. Like we have Wipro, that is very strong in France, Infosys, UPL, other company like this, and automotive sector is also very well represented, as well as aeronautics. France, why we are attracting more and more Indian is because France is more and more attractive country. In all the ranking that we can see around the world, France has won some position recently. We have been for the first time on the fifth most attractive country in the ICIB report. That is a report who said in the coming years which country will be more attractive. So we are very proud of to have reached that position in this with this ICIB study. For FDI in Europe, it's another report from EY. Last year we became first most attractive destination, and this is with figures, with millions, and with number of projects and number of new employments. UK was traditionally the first in Europe, but last year we took over the first place to UK, in front of Germany as well. So you can see in many reports, World Bank, Global Innovation Index, France is in good position, and is also a key financial center in Europe now. As you can see, this is all the press that we had in all the big newspapers in the US, but around the world as well, about that new position that France is having. We were always been on, I think for the last 15 years, France was on the first destination for industrial investment. And that is also very good because it's not very known that France is attracting more projects for industry than Germany is doing. So instead, also in R&D research centers, France is also very, very famous. And the last years, we have attracted a lot of IA projects in Paris from the big company like Facebook or Google. So what we have developed is a brand that is known as the French Fab. This brand is a government brand, and we have all the industry, all the most innovative industry, and the companies are part of this French Fab banner, and it's embodied the future of the French industry. It shows, as the previous speaker said, how innovative the French industry can be, with solution for each specific sector of the industry. Vehicles, for sure, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and aeronautics, as I said, military and defense sector, but also agribusiness and pharmaceutical. What I want to do, as I just arrived 1.5 months in India, I really want to match this French Fab rooster with your Make in India lion. I think we have two stronger label and logos, and actually it shows how can the French technology match with the willing of India to have a even bigger industry in many sectors. So for that, we have all the things we can develop and offer from France for the Industry 4.0. And once again, the speaker before me said about all this, all the kind of solution and services we can offer to Indian partner and to develop business in the industry here in India. We understood India is a 1.3 billion people domestic market, but we have seen the strategic move as well of India as a hub, and a new hub, I must say, in this part of the world, in Asia, to attract more and more investment from Europe and from the US. So to develop this, and I will ask after Audrey will develop on what is our incentive for investment in France and what we can offer to you if you want to invest in France. We will have the forthcoming events in 4 cities of India. I hope in November I will be able with the ambassador to go to Chennai, Mumbai, Bangalore, and of course Delhi to introduce to you what we can do and as a welcome country for investment. We will have in Paris an annual Indo-French Business Forum that will be opened by your Minister of Commerce, Mr. Piyush Goyal, and our Minister for Bilateral Trade. And in Bangalore next year, I want to bring a big delegation of French small and medium-sized company at the French Fab India, will take place on the 2nd of February. And at the same time, the French Aeronautic Federation will be part of Aero India, also in Bangalore. And this will be a good way to promote partnership between both countries. So thank you once again to the Indian Chamber of International Business and to Mansprit for inviting me. And I will be happy to answer any question. You can find more information on our websites, choosefrance.fr, and you can write to us as well. Thank you very much.
Yes, Ramanaji.
Yeah, I thought there was a wonderful presentation by Eric, and I just wanted to add, I forgot when I was talking about wonderful exchange that we had of startups from India visiting France last year. And we had about 10 of our startups from India visiting and interacting with the investor community as well as startups from there. And I think during the planned visit that you are talking about, the 4 cities, we'll be very happy to collaborate with you and see that it brings together the right type of startups and right type of MSME companies to the investors who are out there. So we'll be very happy to collaborate with you on that front.
Thank you, and I think I will be very happy also to have you on board and collaborate with you. As I said, all the big French groups are here. They don't need our assistance, but small and medium-sized company, they really need your assistance and our support to move forward and to make those partnerships with Indian companies. And just one thing, but Audrey will develop, that France has announced last week a massive recovery plan after COVID. It's a 100 billion euro that will be spread in the next 2 years by the French government. And I hope that more French companies will use that support to make those partnerships with India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you so much, Ramananji, for adding that valuable information. I'm sure, Eric, you are new here, but France is definitely not new to us. I'll give you my own experience of the French hospitality. About 2 decades or so ago, I was just fresh out of college and I was visiting Paris. And I had learned French for 3 years in school. And, there's this overconfidence and overzealousness that we have that, I think I know it all. And I was the easiest place to try it. Well, so I enter McDonald's and I say in broken French, "Can I have French fries, please?" The lovely lady at the counter, she was like, started laughing and she said, "It's okay, sir. At least you tried. Here's your French fries for free on the house." So that's French hospitality. But that was a long time ago. Things would have only gone better. And in my last few visits to France, it has been an amazing experience. I think all of us who are interested in France, I would like to tell them that to go and see the place, meet the people. Once you have people-to-people contact, especially when it comes to innovation, the young crowd that is doing so much, you don't even realize how much is happening between the 2 countries. So I encourage all of you all to just go and visit and have a lovely look. Thank you so much, Eric. Just a second. Can you all just give me a minute? We have the Industries Minister on hold on the line. He's trying to log in. Can you just give me a minute, please?
Sure.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. ये मैं 5 मिनट में देता हूँ। यस, आपका कंटिन्यू करो, मैं 5 मिनट में देता हूँ। यस,
Sorry for the brief interruption. We have the office of the Honorable Minister of Industries for Government of Maharashtra. He would be joining us in a minute or two. As I was mentioning, so we have the...
In the meantime, I wanted to also understand a little bit about, you mentioned about the fund that is available for innovators in France. Could you just expound a little bit on that and see, is that a global fund or is it meant only for French startups and French innovation?
No, actually, it's a fund for companies who are based in France. The company can be French or can be Indian based in France. So we don't care about the nationality of the company. As soon as they are developing innovation and R&D in France, they can access to that kind of incentive. And I must say that, but Audrey will tell you more, we have the most innovative incentive system for R&D and innovation in Europe. So and this is not because of COVID situation and the recovery plan. We had this type of system and incentive before the crisis as well. So, and we know that Indian company who have acquired French company who have set up businesses in France can be part of that recovery plan as well, and this incentive system.
Okay.
Like a French company, but they have to be based in France.
Yeah.
We have a video from Eric's office, the French fab. If Eric, I have your permission, I can play it for a minute.
Yeah.
That was a brief information on the French roaster, and I'm very soon wanting to see that right next to the lion and riding together in stride. So I'm sure we'll be able to work together and push this Make in India and Make in France initiatives.
Thank you.
We are joined by Honorable Minister. Just give me a minute to have him online. Surji, do you have, sir?
sir.
Sureshji, are you online? I think they'll take a minute because he was just getting out of a meeting. So let's give them a minute. I think they'll take a minute or two. Meanwhile, Audrey, I would like to introduce our team also to you. A lot of people have joined in from throughout the country today, from ICIB, from Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, the chambers in the north, in the east. We have people joining in from the state of Nagaland, Sikkim, Manipur, West Bengal, Kerala, Karnataka, of course, in the north too. So this is a national symposium, if I may say so, today. We have our team which is into, we have the cinematography being represented here today. We would like to see a lot of Bollywood films being made in France very soon. So we would be like to, waiting on that. Hello. Namaskar, Sureshji. Very warm welcome. I would like to welcome Honorable Minister of Industries, Shri Subhash Desai ji, Government of Maharashtra. Welcome, sir. We would like to listen to your valuable inputs on the relation of Maharashtra and France and how this relation is over decades, if not centuries. Subhash ji, floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Wait for. Yes. Okay. Sir, hello, friends.
Welcome, sir. It's our pleasure and honor to have you.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. First, for organizing the symposium online, of course. These days we cannot meet in person, but now we have made it a practice to meet online. And this is a very, very important online meeting organized Indian Chamber of International Business, and everyone connected with this organization. I must thank for giving me this opportunity to participate in the innovation and manufacturing. Our country is now ready, prepared to research in the field of economic growth. And in the new normal situation, the whole world is changing. India would also change for good. Maharashtra has been leader in industrial scenario of the country. Maharashtra's contribution to Indian GDP has been more than 50% year on year.
Maharashtra's share in the total export made by India is more than 25%. All the FDI, foreign direct investment inflows, Maharashtra's share has been, as revealed by Reserve Bank of India, Maharashtra is registering more than 30% FDI or foreign direct investment year on year. And therefore, people call Maharashtra magnetic Maharashtra. And to make this possible, the state has made many reforms, has taken landmark decisions. Recently, we have introduced our new industrial policy consisting of 4 major decisions. One is plug and play, where we offer industrial lands, fully developed lands, complete with infrastructure, on various models of tenure. In investor, usually we had a practice to give lands on 95 years lease, but few investors suggested that they would prefer short-term lease. So now the land is available for short-term lease. Again, we have decided MIDC, our Industrial Development Corporation, is constructing industrial sheds of various sizes. And these built-up sheds are readily available for the investors to put in their machinery and start at once. So this is plug and play model. Again, industries, investors are not required to invest in construction. These sheds can be made available on rentals. So this is a major change in our earlier policy, and this plug and play initiative has been welcomed by one and all. In addition to this, we have prepared a plan for relationship management, and every relationship manager would assist the investor from day one till he launches his production in acquiring clearances, NOCs, permissions, permits, etc. Within 48 hours, one master license would be issued, and that is known as Mahaparvana. So this license would be issued as soon as the investor makes a commitment, and within 48 hours, this Mahaparvana or master license will be issued. So this is again a very welcome initiative. We have also launched our web portal, Mahajobs. Industries want readily available, technically qualified, skilled manpower. Maharashtra is blessed with a very large network of skill development institutions in addition to our universities. And more than 1 million students pass out every year holding degrees in their hand. And they are ready to join these jobs. So our job portal is registering on one side the job seekers and the other side the job givers. So both the industry players as well as the job seekers are invited on one single platform. So this Mahajobs is providing this invaluable assistance for the industry. So with these initiatives, I think Maharashtra is now ready to reopen all the areas. We have 35 districts where industrial infrastructure is ready and waiting. And we have recently, as a result of our initiatives, we have recently signed MOUs worth 25,000 crore rupees in presence of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Govt of India. And few more industries have made up their mind to sign contracts with the Government of Maharashtra. We are also in the process of setting innovation park in addition to bulk pharma park. Then there are new MIDC areas being developed along the coast side where the industries are attracted. So with these initiatives, I think this post-corona age would certainly make Maharashtra magnetic and shining again. This innovation and manufacturing perspective is certainly opening up new horizons, and country and states are now gearing up to welcome the new technologies, new ideas. It may be 3D printing, industrial automation, assistive robots, or any emerging technologies. The administration and industrial sector has to work hand in hand to understand the requirements of these new age industries. And we have to be ready to provide all the assistance and support the new age industries. And the Government of Maharashtra has set up certain centers. Now for startups, we have a complete ecosystem developed, and many startups are coming up with their novel ideas. Our center at Pune, in the Pune University itself, is again providing support system for the startups and emerging concepts, developing industrial products and services. So this conference will certainly throw light on these emerging areas, and I would be happy to understand the views of the participants. We will take note of each and every point, very important to us, and we'll be interacting with the leaders. I am really happy to participate along with Mr. Ramannan, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, and of course, Honorable Eric, Trade Commissioner, Embassy of France. Again, my friend Mr. Manoj Kotak, our dear Member of Parliament, and of course, I must mention here, Mr. Manpreet Singh has been playing very important role in bringing together the industry players and the experts on one platform. And I get opportunity to understand the views of these experts, the industry leaders, through Mr. Manpreet Singh, and I'm really delighted to participate one more time with him. So with these words, I once again assure the players that any suggestion that is brought on this platform would certainly find a place here in my department and my government would be happy to work together. With these words, I thank you very much, and please continue. And I'll be certainly happy to meet you again. And till then, I hope that we would certainly win this war and conquer over the situation of this pandemic, and we'll be able to meet in person also as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Jai Maharashtra.
Jai Maharashtra, Jai Hind.
Yes,
Subhaji, thank you so much. It has always been so nice of you to never say no to the industry whenever they approach you with any of the problems or suggestions or solutions. You have always given us a big ear, I must say, and you always give us time. It is really heartening and interesting to know about the Maharashtra government's model of plug and play. I think this is something that was really needed in today's times, and how the industry can reduce the time to market and increase the production capabilities and actually make savings. And I assure you that the 30% FDI that we are talking about will very soon become 50%, and Maharashtra will be staying the leader in the state as compared to the rest of the country. And with the support of the Government of Maharashtra and your personal support, thank you very much once again, sir. And I would also like to highlight that we have had French companies in India, in Mihan, since a while now, especially Dassault. We are talking about Rafale and defense. So I have personally visited Mihan. I think it is an amazing infrastructure what the state has built up today. And it is, I would really like to invite the French companies to bring a delegation. There was a delegation recently, and I would like to invite them once again. And Eric, personally, I would like you to visit the place and see what the state of Maharashtra has to offer. And Sureshji, we will be troubling you for this again very soon. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Subhaji, a short question. Is this plug and play model available for foreign companies also?
Of course.
Because
of
we
course.
have French companies here.
No, of course. Foreign companies are most welcome to take the benefits of this new scheme, plug and play. Domestic investors as well as investors coming across the globe are free to join this march. And I would request, thank you for mentioning Mihan. Mihan is really attracting people, and I hope that French companies would be certainly be happy to visit and see for themselves the new model of development. Again, near Aurangabad, we have developed already industrial township, Auric. Auric is again a role model, as the people say. I don't say people say, it's a role model, Auric itself. And the new township for industrially developed area is ready to welcome, and we would like to roll out a red carpet to the French companies to pay a visit as soon as possible, Mihan as well as Auric near Aurangabad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. With Ramananji here and Subhashji, you are also here. So I would like to put one question from the industry. Actually, the CEO of MIDC also had put this question a little while ago, especially when it comes to environmental clearances. You know, we have industry clusters, we have MIDCs, for example, a chemical zone where we know that there are 20-25 companies in the chemical industry. What happens is that each company goes to apply for environmental clearances. They individually go, it takes a lot of time. When we know that it is an industry cluster and a chemical cluster, can we have a system that says that it will give to a particular zone the environment clearance will be given? And we can have...
Yes. Yes. Now we are changing the rules of the game a little bit. Maintaining our commitment towards the preservation of our environment, that is our first commitment. We all have to care about our environment, but at the the same time, on ease of doing businesses, we have to remodel this clearance system. So one dedicated area designed for chemical, pharmaceutical, and related activities is ready with the basic clearances in the entire zone. So each industry would not find it difficult and wait for the clearances for a longer time. The entire zone is just stamped as approved for chemical and pharma industries. So this would certainly help and make things simple and easy.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, Ramananji, please.
If there are any suggestions, specific suggestions on this, please send it to me at Niti Aayog. There is a particular group which really looks at how do we promote ease of doing, how do we also ensure environment protection. So I think we are in the stages of formalizing and finalizing it. So please, feel free to send some suggestions on that, which we can incorporate and we can deliberate on.
That is definitely good news to us. Thank you so much, Ramananji. We will be troubling you more often. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I request all of the visitors and the participants that are here, in case you have any of the questions to any of the speakers, please feel free to post it in the chat box. We have our teams monitoring the same. Rest assured they will be answered. And if not in this session, then definitely by email or by any other modes of communication. Moving ahead with today's program, first of all, I would like to really thank Shri Subhash Desai ji, Honorable Minister of Industries, Government of Maharashtra. Thank you, sir. Our Manoj Kotak ji, who's our Member of Parliament, as I informed before, is in the Parliament House today from 3 o'clock. He is unable to come out and join us, but he has assured us that he will be with us next time. Moving on, I would like to invite Mr. Yann Pitolet, who is the CEO or Nord France Invest of Hauts-de-France region. Welcome, Yann. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. We would like to have your opening remarks today for today's session about relations between India, the northern region of France, and what's different about it. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Namaste. Do you hear me well?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Singh, for this invitation and thank the Indian Chamber of International Business. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the region. So I will try to make it short. So the Northern France region, in French, the name is Hauts-de-France, but in English, it's Northern France. It's a region which is between Paris and the Channel, the English Channel, and so we do not include Paris, of course, but we start from the Belgian border, and we have on our west we have the Normandy, which is not part of also of our region, and on the east we have what is the Great East region. And what is very particular with our region is that, you know, in Europe, many regions say that they are at the heart of Europe. But for us, it's true because we are in the middle of a market of 78 million consumers, because we are in a half a day truck trip of Paris, London, Brussels, Amsterdam, Luxembourg, Cologne. So we are really at the crossroad of Western Europe. And so our region is, in terms of economy, our region is #1 for automotive industry in France. We have more than 50,000 workers working in the automotive industry, of which more than 10% are focused on R&D. I will come back to it later, but for us, it's a huge topic, of course. So we are number one in the automotive. We are also number one in the agri-food business. We are number one also in logistic activities and in railway industry. And for each of these sectors, we have very active and dynamic clusters to enhance growth and innovation in these sectors. We are number two in France for technical textiles and for machine manufacturing and metallurgy and forging activities. And then we are number three for mechanical and chemicals and the healthcare industry. As far as the innovation and the R&D ecosystem in the Hauts-de-France region is concerned, we are really we consider innovation really as, of course, a booster for our regional economy. And so we have a lot of R&D centers. To give you an example of private R&D centers, of course, you may know Faurecia and Plastic Omniums, which are main, very famous tier one suppliers for the automotive industry. So they have huge R&D centers in our region. Also Kubota, the tractor manufacturer, the Japanese tractor manufacturer, he's setting up currently R&D center. We have local companies which are world leaders in their sectors, which is in nutrition and biochemistry. Their name are Roquette and Le Safre. They are world leaders in their sectors, and they are also very active. And we can also mention Ecolab, which is the US company providing infection prevention solutions, like you know, the gel that we use today for washing our hands specifically, but they have a lot of other solutions. And so we consider innovation as, of course, a major tool because it irrigates the major fields of our economy. And we of course, we work in very close relation with, and we use the national schemes as the tax credit for R&D that Eric mentioned earlier. It's a very powerful tool, and of course we use them as much as we can for our companies and companies that are investing in our region. What are we attractive for R&D activities also is that we are, as I mentioned, we are very close to the Paris region, which is just south of us. And so it means that we can really support our growth on the proximity of the Paris region. And so it's very easy for us to attract top engineers and top technicians that will be hired by these R&D centers. But also we consider that we have two legs. One is tech, innovation, and the other one is manufacturing activities. And if we talk a little bit about the foreign direct investments in our region, we are the second region in France for foreign direct investments in terms of job created. And this is our ranking for the last 5 years. According to EY, we have mentioned the EY study and survey earlier. Northern France region is the first French region for industrial activities. And we are the second region in Europe for industrial foreign direct investment. So we are really part of the, you know, the top three in terms of foreign direct investment destination. And for us, it's very important because foreign companies represent more than 10% of the total of staff of people working in our region. Regarding Indian companies, I would say only have 10 of them for the moment, and so I hope that we will have much more in the future. The most famous one are Tata, Tata, of course, is huge. So you have two branches of Tata in the region. One is Tata Steel, and the other one is Tata Communication Services. And they hire quite a lot of people here. And also one of the last investments we had in our region was the Motherson Group, you know, the automotive supplier. They acquired a company called Redel, which is more than 600 employees actually. And they are doing very well. And I think that they are very happy of their investment here. I had the chance of meeting yes, Mr. Siegel during one of my last trip to India. I think it was 3 years ago, something like this. He hadn't acquired Riddle at this time, but he was looking for an investment opportunity. Now, I would like to finish my little speech by talking about North France Invest, so the agency that I manage. So North France Invest is the investment promotion for the Northern France region. So, of course, we are, I would say, a historical partner for Business France. We work very close with them. And our job, what we do is that our job is to connect foreign investors, with the local ecosystem, and also we advise foreign investors to find the best setting up solution. And we were talking earlier about the plug-and-play site. May I say that in our region we have 15 plug-and-play sites already identified. I think that we will have much more in the very near future. And so we are the first region in terms of numbers of plug-and-play sites in France. So we are ready to welcome all greenfield investment that could come up. Also, I would like to add that we have M&A department in North France Invest, meaning that, and I think that this is very interesting for Indian investors. It means that for Indian investor who would be interested not to set up through greenfield from scratch, but investor who would like to enter Europe or the French market through an acquisition. We have a specialist of that who is attending this webinar. His name is Sylvain Cronier, and he's an M&A specialist, and we can, and also in partnership with Business France, we can find the right target for according to your requirements. So I'm happy to say to any companies that are attending this webinar that we can find adapted targets to your need, companies that could be distressed companies or not, and that could be also a good way to enter the French or the European market. And we currently have some M&A opportunities. We would be very happy to discuss that aside of this webinar. I would also like to say that all our services are free of charge and are fully confidential. And of course, as I said at the beginning, so we work hand in hand with Business France. And so you can contact them on our behalf. And also, we will send you a presentation that could be released after this webinar. We didn't want to put slides today, but we have, of course, a presentation that we can send to all of you if needed. Well, thank you for let me make this presentation, and I would be happy to answer any question if you have.
Thank you so much, Jan. It's been so nice of you to tell us about the region, about the possibilities, the technicalities, and you said the 3 golden words that every Indian wants to hear. And can you guess what it is?
The 3 golden words
that every Indian wants to hear. You just said it.
Tell me what it is.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
Jokes apart. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
We will be circulating the presentation that is shared by you so that people can get in touch with you directly. A lot of people are looking to invest in France. And the northern region, as you highlighted correctly, that is one very closely integrated to Western Europe. And that is where you can be there and you can expand throughout Europe and making that your base. And even technology wise, I think that is something that we can bring back home. Thank you once again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Moving on, I would like to invite Mrs. Audrey Lugbanet from the head of Invest in France Department, Business France in India and South Asia. Mrs. Audrey will be talking about manufacturing in France, innovation-led growth, and her presentation is going to say it all. And I'm sure that at the end of the presentation, half of us would have been in France already. Welcome, Audrey. It's a pleasure to have you here today with us.
Bonjour à tous, namaste to all. I'm very pleased to be with you today for this webinar. A big thanks to the Indian Chamber of International Business for taking such an initiative, and a special thanks to you, Manpreet Singh. So just let me share with you a small presentation about France means business and innovation. Can you see it properly?
Not yet.
It's on with me.
It's not showing.
Is it possible to help me then, Manpreet, from your side? Because
yes,
I can see it in front of my screen.
Just give me a minute, I'll do that.
Thank you so much. Sorry to make you wait. Huh? Yes, thanks, Manpreet. I can see it from my side. So I'll just start, and you can go through the next slide. Thank you. So to give you an overview of the reason why France was the first destination for FDI in Europe last year, I'll explain you mainly why France means business, industry, and innovation, and what are the concrete investment opportunities we have to offer you post-COVID. And I will also highlight a few success stories of Indian companies in France. Next. Next. So should you consider to invest abroad, France is a promising market for you, since it is the 7th largest economy in the world, just after India. And France is also considered to be an open economy, already home to more than 28,000 foreign companies, which are important not only for the economy of France, but also for its recovery post-COVID, since these foreign companies account mainly for 21% of the French GDP and 31% of the French export. Next. If you decide to set up in France, you will have access to additional markets, such as the European Union, which is basically a single market comprised of 28 countries, in which you can benefit from free movement of goods, capital, services, and people. And Europe represents a base of 500 million potential consumers for your product or for your services. With France, you have also access to more than 30 French-speaking countries, where French is still considered to be either the mother tongue or an administrative language. And these countries are mainly located in Africa and in North Africa, such as Ivory Coast, Senegal, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, to name few. Next. France means also industry, and as Eric said earlier, has been the first destination in Europe for industrial investment for the 15 years in a row, and many foreign companies are not aware of this. In fact, France is a major worldwide player when we speak about aerospace. We are #2 in the world. Medical services, #2 in Europe. Food industry, #2 in Europe. And one of the top leaders in automotive, luxury product and cosmetics. Indeed, we have many French global leaders such as Airbus, Total, Sanofi, L'Oreal, and Danone. And many of these companies have already a base in India. Next. Nowadays, it is also easier and easy to do business in France, thanks to the vast program of reforms which has been implemented by the government of Mr. Macron, with the main objective of bringing more flexibility to the labor law, and also decreasing the corporate tax from 33% to 25% by 2022 in order to be more competitive. As a result, France is now ranked 32 among 190 economies in the ease of doing business, according to the last World Bank annual rating. Apart from business, France also means innovation and technology. As we said earlier, we have a strong innovative ecosystem with 300 incubators in order to help foreign and Indian startups to leverage. We have also 71 centers of excellence in which you can work on a collaborative project with public laboratories, universities, and corporate. And as Eric and Jan just mentioned earlier, if you wish to conduct R&D activities, France is really the place to be. You will find there the best R&D tax credit in Europe, which cover up to 30% of your R&D expenditures, and which is given you back as a tax credit. Now, considering the current situation, you must be wondering about France, how France is coping with the COVID crisis. And so, as many countries, France has been badly impacted, but we are coming out of it slowly but surely. And the lockdown has been lifted on 11th of May. So from 11th of May, France is gradually back to business. In fact, during the summer, the French government has announced specific recovery plans for the industries which were most affected by the crisis, such as tourism, automotive, and aerospace. And recently, on 3rd of September, the French government has announced a global recovery plan of its economy. Next. So this global recovery plan is a 100 billion euros recovery plan with 3 main pillars. The first one is to invest in sustainable mobility and green technologies to contribute to make our planet great again. The second one is to reinforce the competitiveness and resilience of the French economy with a massive reduction of taxes on business and a push on investment to secure critical manufacturing activities in France, should you be a French or a foreign company. And the third one is to improve the employability of people, especially the youth, and to strengthen the French productivity. So the main objective of this recovery plan is really to maintain France among the most competitive countries in the world and to restore the pre-COVID level of GDP by approximately 2022. So in this particular context, we really remain optimistic, and we have some concrete investment opportunities for you. The French government has created a support fund for industrial investment in strategic sectors such as health, agri-food, electronics, metalwork, and chemicals. And these funds ease French and foreign investment in the setup either of a new manufacturing unit or in the modernization of existing factory in France. And it's a call for project which is currently open until the 17th of November 2020. If your business model is more to set up in France via organic growth, we have currently a selection of 78 ready-to-use sites, as you can see on this map, which offer fast-track solution and authorization. And for example, a building permit can be delivered within 3 months on this particular site, while normally it can take up to 9 to 12 months. And each site gives you access to an ecosystem of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and suppliers. Meanwhile, if you prefer to set up in France via inorganic growth, Business France has a M&A package and can help you to find acquisition opportunities in France. And as Jan was mentioning earlier, in the current context, there are a couple of French companies which are looking for potential acquirers, being profitable or non-profitable. And we have some opportunities today in retail chain, automotive component, and sheet metal work. So on the basis of all these comparative advantages and opportunities, more than 120 Indian companies have decided to set up in France. And Eric mentioned it earlier, but in the context of Brexit, we really see a trend of Indian companies setting up their European headquarters in France. And last year, out of 18 Indian projects, 60% were involving decision-making centers in France, and 40% were more related to production and manufacturing operation. Sector-wise, Indian investment last year were mainly made in the software and IT services, pharma, and biotechnologies. And here the sample of Indian success stories in France that I wanted to share with you. We had Dual Leap, which is a niche startup in aerospace technology from Kerala, which set up its European headquarters at the Aerospace Valley of France in Toulouse, in the south of France. We had also a Genstore, which is more a mid-sized company from Gurugram, which acquired a cell biology research company in the south of France, in Marseille, and is currently developing COVID kits in order to fight against the pandemic. And we had also big group such as Modi Group, headquartered in NCR, which acquired a customizable varnish company in the south of France, in Toulon. So this sample is really to show you that there is a real scope of success and expansion for you in France, should you be a startup, a mid-sized company, or a big group. And to help you, we at Business France, we are really here to provide you a soft landing, along with our regional partners such as North France Invest. And we provide you from the first level of information to the organization of a program of meetings in France, customized to your needs, till the setup of your company and employees in France. And I will use again the three golden words. We do it for free of charge, but also on a confidential basis. So I would like to invite you to come to France as Manpreet was suggesting you earlier, when the situation will permit, obviously, to check the potential of the French market by yourself. It's important to have your own feeling. And so APCA France में स्वागत है, and hopefully see you at our Indo-French Business Forum Ambition India on 1st of December in Paris. And to conclude, I would like to share with you a video interview of Mr. Segal, chairman of the iconic company Motherson Group, about their success story in France. They have acquired two companies, two automotive companies in France, one in Ile-de-France and one headquartered in Hauts-de-France, Redel, where Motherson is manufacturing automotive components such as cockpit. And thanks to these two acquisitions, Motherson is now the first Indian employer in France with more than 2,300 employees. Thanks for your attention, and take care and stay safe, and see you soon in France.
Thank you so much, Audrey. You know, what was more interesting was the 1st December that I'm sure a lot of us will be looking to go to France, and Ambition India is something that really hit at least me. So we would be bothering you in a little while from now regarding the same, and please send us all the more information that you have so that we can circulate to all the members and associate organizations that we work with. Just for brief information, Indian Chamber of International Business, or ICIB, we work with about 248 odd organizations or state chambers or sector-specific organizations within India. In addition, we are present in about 38 countries globally, and this network really helps us reach out to the world, especially for MSME companies. Please feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy to connect you with all of our network and utilize this time, especially if you are affected by the pandemic. So please let us know how best we can help you. We'll be more than happy to. I'll share the video of Motherson.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Samadhan Motherson Group is a pure automotive manufacturing group. We started somewhere around in 83 with the car manufacturing in India. Later on, the French car makers also came into India, and that was always an exciting thing for us because we always looked up to France. We as a group are about 130,000 people. We're in 41 countries. But France, we got the first opportunity in 2008-9 when we acquired SMR, the Miller company. We, since then, have always been waiting that we will get another chance to acquire a company in France. We got that chance somewhere around 17-18, and we took over Radel, which is now known as SMRC. We have about 2,300 people in France. Turnover of the total group for relevance to Motherson is about 2%. In France, we manufacture the mirrors for cars which are produced in France and also the neighboring countries. We also produce a lot of innovative products which are used inside the mirrors by our group. With the takeover of Radel, we have been able to go into the interiors of the cars, and this is very relevant for us because the whole cockpits, the doors, the floors, the whole gamut of the inside of the car is something very, very exciting which we can take from France and then apply it all over the world. Motherson wanted to go back to France because we always looked up to the French car makers, their design, their innovations, the way the frugal engineering of Renault and the cars over there. You could always do wonderful things in France. French car makers are now some of the biggest in the world. So globally, we can service such a great customer. So we look forward to that.
Thank you, Audrey. We will request you to stay till the end of the session. A request from all of us that we are running about 20 minutes late. So very sorry about that. I would like to really thank Audrey for giving us this presentation and the insight on the plug and play models that are ready in France that Indian companies can go look at mergers, acquisitions, even for the small and medium companies that I find that, you know, and it's spread all over the country. It's not just concentrated in one particular region. So that gives a lot of access to the Indian companies to look at synergies and cooperation between the Indian SME and the French SME. Thank you so much, Audrey, once again. Please stay with us for the question and answer at the end of the session. I would now like to move on to the panel discussion. We're going to talk today about new age manufacturing. New age manufacturing does not necessarily mean reinventing the wheel, although it might mean so, but it also means that you can do things differently. You can motivate yourself to change your approach, to look at avenues of technologies, of not taking up something that you have done in the past, but learning from others' mistakes, learning from what's best around you, and to implement that into your own businesses. This especially being said in the Indian context, where we have always had the concept of jugaad or the make do, where we Indian businesses and MSME companies and innovators always find a way out to solve our problems. Today we have with us an eminent panel. First of all, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Santosh Mandlecha-ji. He's the President, Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. He's leading the MCCIA since a while now, and he has the hold on the grassroots of the state of Maharashtra. Any problems with the industry, they go to MACCIA, which is the apex chamber of the state of Maharashtra. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
We have also Mr. Lokanathan Nadar, the business head, Origins by Mahindra World City, Ahmedabad. Mahindra World City is one of the planned cities that we have for industrial townships, for SME companies that are ready to work, ready to operate, handhold you until you actually start up your business. It gives you a ready system that would ensure that you spend less time on the nitty-gritties and more time on your business. Loknathanji, welcome.
Thank you so much, Manpreet.
Ranveer Nairji, he's the director, Europe India Foundation and the MD of Media India Group, a very well-known name in France in the industry and very well connected to the roots in India. Ranveerji, welcome.
Thank you very much, Manpreet.
We're also joined by, one second, let me just close the windows. Can you all see, or is the window still open with the video?
No, we can see. So we can see you, Manpreet.
Okay. We're also joined today by Rushabji, who is representing the Kanudoshi Group, and they're consultants and looking at assisting Indian companies that are looking to invest abroad, especially France, and also looking at inward support, how we can support the Indian industries, getting the grassroots, getting proper advice, and how to look at what we are doing today. We also have with us Christoph. Christoph, welcome to today's session. He's joining us today from France. Sir, can you unmute yourself? Christoph de Breza, can you hear us? We can't hear you, sir. You have to unmute yourself. The mic on the bottom left, just click it once. We'll give you 2 minutes. You can unmute yourself. Meanwhile, Santoshji, coming back to you, you represent the apex chamber of the state of Maharashtra. And Maharashtra is very much known for innovation and doing things differently. And wine clusters are, I think India has been the pioneer when it comes to the state of Maharashtra, when you say the wine and the grape industry, especially around Nasik. Can we have your inputs on this industry and how the collaboration with France can help both the sides?
Good evening, one and all.
you have very rightly pointed out that. So basically, I'm from Nasik, so you have asked very rightly question to me because wine is being introduced to this world by France, and Nasik is a wine capital of India. Very rightly pointed out by other dignitaries, India has a very good opportunity to increase their agro-based products, and Mr. Ramananji has already informed us about that. So 44% is the agro-base of India, and Government of India has already been decided to take our GDP to a great height and our economy with 5 trillion. I think if we would like to have this kind of achieve our goals, so agro-based industry has to be take place. And in earlier presentation, I have seen that all the speakers, they mentioned about the agro-based industry. It is very well developed in France. And I think in India, now the youngsters, they are inclined to go for an very innovative farming. As you mentioned about the wine, in Nasik and around Nasik, lot many guys they have an grapes for wines, and if we can get an technical support or innovative support from France to these Maharashtra farmers, definitely the wine can be a very good product to export from India to other countries. And for this, I think France, they can play a very good role in this. I think after having the energy of our youngsters and innovative solutions from the France, if we have this energy, definitely the goal can be achieved.
Thank you, Santoshji. I have visited a few wineries in Nasik. So what happens is, I took 1 or 2 Europeans also to those places. We had some foreign dignitaries, some diplomats, and everybody said one thing: the wine is really nice, but it is the packaging and the storage that needs to be improved. Do you think that is one sector where India needs to learn from France?
Yeah, exactly. And as the Mr. Yan and Mrs. Andy already invited us in Ambitious India 2020. So I think definitely we will take this initiative to take some farmers, wine producers to take them for this Ambitious 2020 at France and give them a better idea if they want really go further. So what kind of packing and what kind of process should be adopted?
Thank you, sir. I'll coming back to you on this point. Loknathanji, you are representing Mahindra World City or Origins by Mahindra World City. I think this is one of the planned initiatives, very few planned initiatives in India that gives you a ready base that concentrate more on your work rather than the nitty-gritties of getting you to start your work. Do you think that such initiatives are really needed when it comes to manufacturing, or would you say an MSME company should start from a garage, or it has to be from a state body which just gives you the land and you start from scratch? What would be your suggestion to the new age entrepreneur or industry 4.0, where there are more of innovations rather than more of the traditional making the building, setting up and starting from scratch? I would like to have your views on that.
Thank you very much, Manpreet, and thank you very much to Indian Chamber of International Business, excellency speakers, and greetings from Mahindra Group to all the panelists and people connected from various locations and the support team. When we speak on innovations and manufacturing, now on the Indian opportunities, obviously Mr. Ramanan spoke. the bilateral relations which Trade Commissioner spoke and our Minister also emphasized. What we believe, today we believe that MSME and startup will be the first. And we believe in Make in India and the brand India, that has been created. We believe in the skills, talent, discipline that India has and the desire to do something. We believe this is the best time for French companies to come to India and explore the benefits of the large market which is already available here. So within sectors, when we look at engineering, healthcare, defense, telecommunications, which Minister also said, which now, Sir has also said. So when we see that in terms of manufacturing, design, technology, which can make for India and make for the world. So this is the right opportunity for France companies to come in. Now, how that is possible? Now, India, along with France, has jumped 4 positions in terms of Global Innovation Index, which Trade Commissioner also said. And major reforms has been undertaken. So innovation-friendly India is coming up. Almost like all the states have started the startup as well as stand-up program with dedicated sectors to foster innovations. India is vast, so no one-size-fit-all will work here. Every state has mapped the corresponding local potentials to address to the local problems with a local solution. So the kind of innovation which is happening in Odisha, like for example in agriculture and rural sector, today the kind of innovation that is happening in Maharashtra in terms of our production which is happening, the kind of evolution in agriculture which is happening in Gujarat, the R&D innovation happening on the pharma, human and animal resources in Bangalore, Hyderabad is not known to many. Trade Commissioner just spoke about the emphasis which is happening in Bangalore. As these are not on the top list of media, but small and smart investments have been happening. Innovation is underway on large scale in EV, solar and renewable energy, charging and storage equipments. So innovation is not always in technology alone. What we want to say is innovation is not always on the technology alone. Even the fitment, the design, the commercializations to make it reach all is all part of innovations. This is a huge opportunity where French companies should be exploring the local presence of Indian MSME and join hands with them. Today, Indian MSME is employing over 11 crore workers. MSME contributes almost 29% of India's GDP and comprise almost half of its export, which is like 48 to 49%. It's huge. But when it compares to the rest of the developed world, it is almost half. We need to further emphasize more. Now, that is the kind of potential that we have. The good thing is, Industry 4.0 has been welcomed by the MSME, and it is a major overhaul which is going to happen in this country. Now, these areas would be of interest for all the French companies to explore in India. Now, as per the current scenario, India will be the next hub of manufacturing in Asia, blessed with immense resources and manpower, demand-driven movement of industries. Now, this is where an ecosystem is going to be actually very useful. Mahindra World City, Chennai and Jaipur stands tall as an example for the success of innovation in ecosystem. We have housed more than 200 units from 20 plus countries successfully, and they are seamlessly operating. Mahindra World City, Chennai was established in 2002, and it's the first integrated industrial business city, which is jointly promoted by Mahindra Group and Government of Tamil Nadu, TIDCO. Now, this park is spread around 1,550 acres, and it is the first IGBC gold certified green township with co-located residential infrastructure like walk to work, we say, pedal to work, which are the themes which is being adopted now. It was indeed interesting to see the 15 minutes themes being promoted at Paris now, which has been adopted in Mahindra World City, Chennai, and Mahindra World City, Jaipur is another good example of an ecosystem, which is a public-private partnership between Mahindra Group and Government of Rajasthan. It's spread around 3,000 acres. And it's a global benchmark in sustainable development, because sustainability is also an area where French companies are exploring a lot of opportunities. At the same time, we believe in sustainability. It's the planned co-locate social infrastructure. So here also we have pedal to work themes like pink pedals. We call it as pink pedals. So we believe innovation is creating sustainable ecosystem which will foster business, which will enable things to move faster. Like innovation or startup doesn't mean cheap, it means lean. Now that's where there is a huge amount of differentiation of definition has to come, that it doesn't mean cheap. It means it's lean. So when you mean lean, how well you can do it. So it is here that we as Mahindra World City, an ecosystem provider, helps all innovators to focus on the core area of innovation business and leave the rest of the infrastructure set up to us. So Mahindra World City has like Capgemini, Novartis, Renault Nissan operating in our mature ecosystem very successfully. We have seen.
Lokanathji, but sorry to interrupt you, but what about the small industries? You know, do you think that a planned setup suits the small industries?
That's what I said. When
Medium
we
ones,
say
of course.
innovation, when we say startup, people generally believe that, okay, these are all, smaller or, to be done cheap. But as I said, it means lean. When you mean lean, that means you need to concentrate more on your business and the rest of the things which will be needed, because you need to be moving faster to the market. You need to have a faster to reach market. So these are areas like today we have 200 plus companies, wherein companies of smallest nature are operating out of Mahindra World City, Jaipur. Rather, they have done 3 expansions now. So I have multiple expansion units who have just come, taken a small shed and thereafter expanded, because they believe that once they are inside a developed system, it becomes easier for them to concentrate towards their business and leave the rest to us in terms of ensuring that the infrastructure works, ensure that the water is on time, the power is on time, the rest of the infrastructure hassles are absolutely sorted out. So generally, we see that multiple themes are germinating in our big campus of Mahindra World City, Chennai and Mahindra World City, Jaipur. So when we see these kind of smaller themes, during the pandemic, let me tell you, we had 95 plus companies who started during the first unlockdown itself.
Oh,
that was the fastest thing in anywhere in the country. Also, now we are up and running in terms of all the units are running with all the security systems, with all the safety guidelines. So this was possible because when you are part of an ecosystem, the ecosystem helps you to start faster. The ecosystem where the residents are living within my campus itself, like Mahindra World City, most of the people live within the campus. They just need to walk to work. So the ecosystem helps. So they never had the fear to go around the city, right? So I would like to leave with few pointers also, that all innovators have a story of relying on best partner. All innovators, I mean, like you take the best of them, they will always say, I had one best partner, I had one fellow co-founder with me. So all innovators have a story of relying on one best partner. So Mahindra Group has deeper connections with France. Like Mahindra and Mahindra R&D, two-wheeler division of Peugeot, Tech Mahindra has presence in France. So Mahindra Group is a partner of choice for many sectors. Today we are there in more than 20 plus sectors with more than 100 plus countries. As an ecosystem provider, we at Mahindra World City will help you in your manufacturing and growth plans in India. So you can be rest assured that concentrate on your core area of business, the smallest to the largest. We are housing JCB also, which is there in 120 acres. We have BMW, we have other top names today with both my world cities with 15 to 20 plus countries. As I said, Capgemini from France is also operating with us. So you can be rest assured that everything else will be taken care by the ecosystem and you can concentrate on your core business. That's how ecosystem works.
Thank you so much. I think that is some point that we really need to take home, that we should concentrate on our main business and we should let you concentrate on your main business. And that's where the right partner comes into play. Thank you so much. Ranveerji, it's a pleasure to have you today with us. You're the go-to man, if I may say so, for anything between India and France. Any companies entering into France, I'm sure that you are aware of the same, and vice versa too. In any of these scenarios, you have seen the best of both the worlds. Do you think that innovation is really changing what is happening on the ground? And how do you think that, we can synergize between both the countries and the startup ecosystem and the innovation, especially when it comes to manufacturing?
Thanks, Manpreet. Yes, indeed, it's a pleasure to be with you here. Thank you for the invitation and good to meet everybody, all my fellow panelists through e-meeting. Very pertinent for us. So I'll just very quickly run through what is Europe India Foundation for Excellence. As the name suggests, we are a foundation and we are focused on excellence. So we bring the best practices of excellence mainly from Europe to India, but also India has a few examples that you can share with Europe. So we take them as well. How do we translate that into concrete action on the ground? Right from the beginning, we realized that the big guys can manage themselves pretty well. They just need a bit of hand-holding or nudging that the governments can do very well. Where we can provide our inputs and be useful to the ecosystem, the business ecosystem, is focusing on the small sector. And business France will completely agree with me that SME is one of the largest drivers of French economy. And of course, we know the same is true in India. There has been a lot of innovation in France. We typically keep talking of the Silicon Valley, but perhaps not known to many us in India. The startup ecosystem in France has been extremely dynamic. I mean, they have done extremely well. We in India can pick up many good lessons and practices from them. And at many of the CES shows, the French startups have won, the top awards. So we identified that there was a very good opportunity to link up these startups from India with their counterparts in France. Not just for them to learn, what they did and how did they succeed, but actually to create a larger market. So what we have been discussing with one of our key partners, Business France would know them, it's UIMM, is basically the French Industry Association, the Manufacturing Industry Association. So they represent about 43,000 companies, they are members of them. A lot of them are SMEs, but Renault, Thales, Dassault, everybody's, Safran is part of that. So they have a special incubation facility. So we talked to them, we initiated a discussion and signed an MOU with them about last year on how to create opportunities where French startups could perhaps come to India, look at Indian startups and maybe create joint ventures. So they do a transfer of technology, transfer of know-how, or simple franchise agreements with their Indian counterparts, and whatever they are selling, the service or the product in France can immediately be sold all across India, vice versa also. So we've been talking to them, and unfortunately the COVID scenario happened, but late last year we were quite ready to move ahead to the next step. So now I was just coming back from Gujarat. I was there 2 days ago, and we have talked to them about maybe hosting our first such Indo-French incubation in Gujarat, in a place like Sanand, which is very large, automotive hub. So we could perhaps do something over there. Other option, of course, is Maharashtra. We've been talking to them as well. So that's one concrete initiative that we have taken. Otherwise, we keep on, bringing Indian delegations to France and some of the European delegations to India. For India, basically, we have been participating quite actively in Vibrant Gujarat. Once again, focusing on SMEs, identifying the sectors that are key sectors of Gujarat or the Vibrant Gujarat show, and then reaching out to European companies who are our partners and telling them, okay, this is an opportunity, go to India. So these are some of the, I would say, the main activities. A lot more needs to be done. Some of the business ecosystem in India still needs to be eased a bit more. Unfortunately, there are still, you would know better than me, there are still a bit of, rough edges that we need to polish off. Once we get that in order, and once, of course, the COVID is behind us largely, then this relationship of India and France can really flourish and reach its true potential. You mentioned Mihan. In Mihan, one of our partners is training the Dassault crew, so the maintenance engineers and the workers who will take care of Dassault production, as well as the maintenance of the Rafales that have come from France. So they are already engaged in that. You mentioned wine. Not boasting about it, but about 13 years ago, we hosted the first Indo-French Wine Summit, where we took about 40 companies from Nashik, the wine producers, and those who wanted to get into wine industry. And we got them the best expertise from France in terms of wine brands, in terms of wine companies, and as well as the marketing, and you talked of branding and marketing and packaging. So we got them those consultants also. So we are hoping to kind of repeat this exercise on a larger scale. But again, I think that's something for later, second half of 2021. So there are a few sectors like food processing, aviation. Paris Air Show is another very happy hunting ground for us. In the last edition in 2019, we took about 85 Indian companies in the domain of skill development in the aviation and manufacturing industries domain, to get them to see what is happening in Europe or in France in the terms of skill development and training, because that's a very large requirement of India. And unfortunately, yes, we have a young population. There is this so-called demographic dividend, but it could very well become a demographic disaster if we don't, get our act together on skilling them and getting them right kind of jobs. I guess that's about it. I'm open to questions.
So true, so true. I think that's a lot of information to process, and we're going to take up your offer of having those joint initiatives on innovation, especially when it comes to, we are working a lot with Atal Innovation Mission. We are forming a lot of trilateral teams that will be working with specific countries. So we can take up one up with France also, where we have ICIB members, we have Niti Aayog, Atal Innovation Mission, and definitely the companies and innovation companies and the foundations from France. So we'll be taking up with you for sure on that part.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Manpreet.
Rushabh, welcome. Rushabh Gandhi is here with us today. Rushabh ji represents the Kanu Doshi Group. He's the partner there. And Rushabh, I would like to ask you one thing. It's a little tricky, if I may say so. With Business France here, with foundations, with chambers like ours, most of our services are free. Right. But when it comes to a consultant, what happens is people come and say that, oh, when you're giving it free, why do I need a consultant? So how would you address that issue?
Right. Thanks, Manpreet. So I think first of all, I would like to thank you for providing this opportunity for this platform. Secondly, I think I wish best of health to each and every participant over here, the audience over here. Okay, so coming back to your question, where you mentioned that since a lot of stuff coming from Business France or from Government of India, like Invest India, offer free of services, I think at ground level, I think the gameplay is very different. If I would tell you that in all there are total 66,000 compliances which has to be done in different laws. So I think people at ground level, people at granular level will be more aware at the challenges which we face on a day-to-day basis. Tax structuring has to be done, right? Because Government of India has now come up with a incentivized tax structure as low as 15% for manufacturing companies. Similarly, a lot of regulations are now liberalized with foreign direct investment coming in big bank way. Also, I would say, as Ranveer rightly mentioned, that there is a complex business environment here existing in India. I think the need of the hour is we are going to that level, in fact. So with the introduction of IBC, with the introduction of incentives for more employment, with less litigations, I think we are trying to reach over there. Yes, definitely, I would say that there are business consultants who actually offer free of cost services like Business France, but at granular level, I think it's better that it's left all to consultants who can help in day-to-day structuring, day-to-day operations. And as Loknath ji also mentioned, that you focus on your core business and let us focus on our core business. So as a consultant, I think it's better that we focus on our core business, which is setting up tax structuring, regulatory structuring. That would be helpful for each and every entity, I guess, coming to India.
So true, so true. Like you said, the grass is always greener on the other side, if I may say so. But definitely, you are very true. I come back from a background of manufacturing. I mean, this is my question to all the panelists. It's a family business. When we started about 40, 45 years ago, things were really different. Today, it's all about we wanting everything now. But it doesn't really work in that. We have when it comes to manufacturing, you have the machinery, you have the building, you have the manpower, you have the labor consultations, the laws, the taxations, and it's not such an easy thing. For example, if I have somebody coming to me tomorrow and saying that, oh, I want to start a factory of manufacturing XYZ. It's not as easy as he just going and renting a place and starting the very next day. We would have at least 10 people coming and telling him, oh, this is not complied to and that is not complied to, and where is this paper and where is that paper. And I think that is what we and our governments all need to understand, this, that ease of doing business on paper is very good. We are improving, definitely. But that needs to be trickled down to the grassroots. So that is something that I think all of us are working towards. And I would like to thank you for this viewpoint that you mentioned, the why, the answer to the why. I would like to have the panel's input. Now that we've heard all the people from the government, we've heard from the people from the industry, from the foundations, from the organizations, what do you think is that single most important point that will drive manufacturing, taking innovation in perspective? Just that one point. What is that one point that we need to do that would say that, okay, yes, that's the day of tomorrow? Ranveerji, can we start from you?
Oh, okay. What's the one thing that we need to do? I would say that honestly, we need to improve our business ecosystem. There is still far too many hurdles, despite whatever the government might say. There are improvements, but it's still a big challenge. And if I'm a young college graduate, I would be completely lost as to where I go unless I am very well networked with the VC funds operating in Mumbai, Bangalore, or NCR. So what we need to do is that for a person in Nagpur, next to Mihan, to be able to get into Mihan and create something there, I think that road we need to still build. So maybe Mahindra World City can help them get there, but we need, that road is still missing. So the government really needs to make that transparent. I've seen some movement from the VCs like opening up and saying, okay, anybody who has good ideas, please reach out to us. But it's still a very closed club. Till we can really open that club and make, Atal Innovation Mission actually a complete nationwide mission, we'll be operating below par.
That's true. That's true. In fact, one of the initiatives of Atal Innovation Mission is they are connecting the grassroots with organizations like ours. They have opened up 1,800 incubation centers, especially in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So this is the opportunity that really needs to expand and trickle. Like it was mentioned by him that we have 600,000 villages, but against that only 1,800 centers. So a lot more needs to be done.
Yeah.
Lokanath, what do you think is, for your perspective, that single most important thing?
When it comes to innovations, or as Nehal sir also mentioned, when we look at, because I did extensively study the startup for Odisha as well as the other states. What we observed is when we just divide, whether it is hard, soft, finance, law, these are the 4 buckets which actually fits into. When it comes to hard, yes, Mahindra World City has done tremendous amount of job in terms of having an ecosystem in place where you forget about the hard things. But when it comes to the law, this is where we have tried to put in the ease of doing business. As Rushabh also mentioned, we need to streamline it in such a form that becomes easier. Today, even the finances, because globally, the funds have opened up, a lot of innovation funds have actually peeped into the country. Some they have funded, some they have been, on the fence, whether I should go or not to go. Now that go and not to go is a decision based on what is the paper which can actually help them to ensure that, okay, their approvals are there in place. Because tomorrow, once they open, they should not come out and see that within a window, there are 10 different windows coming up. There are local problems, there are local solutions. So that is successfully working till the time we don't scale. The time we scale up, we find that approvals, yes, as well as finances are available. Today, I can definitely tell you based on various associations, I mean, you are also part of a lot of things. We can see that finances are available. Slight more help. Today, MSME, we have said that more than, for the first 3 years, we don't need approvals in place. But whether that happens on ground, okay, whether that window is actually opened up. So these are definitely there. But yes, in terms of Mahindra, what we concentrate more towards is we give assistance in terms of having some of the soft things done, but hard infrastructure, ensuring that your premises are well protected, everything is there, you can start producing. I see one question which has come up on that, whether we provide, the incubation facility for the startup. Currently, we don't. We do have Evolve as a building, which is an IT building that we have. We provide all the assistance which you generally get at startup. but we don't provide that 12 months window where you produce, you succeed, and thereafter you start paying. We don't do that. We actually charge them rents. Okay, so it is a full-fledged facility that we have. But yes, in terms of hard, we have a lot of infrastructure in place. But those two areas where Rushabh and Ranvirji are looking at in terms of soft and law, those are challenges that we face.
True, true, very true. In fact, you mentioned finance and capital also. I get to hear a lot from the industry. There's a lot of money available, a lot of money which is lying around, but it is just that I don't know who knows how to pick it up. That is what's important. You can see it there. It's like, you can see it, but you can't touch it. So that being said, let's
maybe the Silicon Valley which moved to France should also look at it now. Huh?
True, 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 true. Thank you so much, Lokanathanji. Rishabh, coming to you, what do you think will be that one single most important thing that you feel that, it's going to change the perspective completely?
So I'll tell you one example. So I recently I met a client basically who was actually one of the big global conglomerate, and he was looking to invest into looking into manufacturing, starting a plant in India for fiberglass manufacturing. So he told me that we had all the assistance from the government saying that we will help you at all stages. But as said on the paper and on the ground level, he was quite furious, saying that 3 years it's already there and I'm not able to get clearances, because initially they told him that all the land has been cleared by the farmers. And subsequently, I think one of the farmer raised some litigation. So I think it went into the loop where people were not able to understand what to do next. And when such kind of thing happens, I think India loses its sheen, frankly, as a market.
True,
so,
true.
so that needs to be addressed. Something on paper has to actually come on ground level. That is very important, I believe.
I would just like to add here, today, we of course cut our corporate tax rate last year. Made a lot of noise and dance about that. Today, Toyota has said it will not expand anymore in India because of the tax. So clearly, between the will and the actual implementation, somewhere there's a gap.
Absolutely.
It's like you have an asterisk at the end. You say, okay, we'll give you X, Y, Z, but. So maybe that's what is happening, and the but needs to be removed, and we need to remove the asterisk and ensure that, this voice reaches the government, and we implement what we want to implement.
Manpreet, I'll just like to add here, Rushabh, for you, I think that's where we say we provide hassle-free transactions,
I got your point.
Thank you so much. Christoph, can you unmute yourself now, or difficult? No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Christoph.
Oh.
You will have to click the mic on your screen. Yes, we got you. Please, welcome.
Well, thank you for the invitation. But we decided to split the roles, and Ranveer Nayar, who is Director General of the Foundation and of all other initiatives that were brought by myself.
I'm sorry, we cannot hear you properly. If you can speak louder, we cannot hear you properly, Christophe.
You can speak to him in French.
Well,
No.
Sorry. I was telling that. Hello? Yes?
Yeah, better, it's better.
Ranveer Nayar is replacing myself. I hope that we'll continue to discuss with other members of the panel, because look, we are probably the institution which has the richest experience of all of you. We are working since nearly 20 years. We have been publishing our first magazine on India, called India, the window to the world on India, some 15 years ago. Then at the peak, 2 years ago, we are publishing still 8 magazines in 4 languages, but the technology changed, and the cost of distribution of our beautiful magazines, like most of people say, has become prohibitive. We also advance considerably on the conceptual plan. And today, I think that the main interest of an event like this one is how to learn to work together. We should not be competitor to the French state institution. We should learn to work together. We also need a partnership with institutions like the Chamber of Commerce, but also of the state administration. We can offer opportunities for vocational training, but we need a critical mass on the Indian side as well. And it's very difficult to discuss about this kind of things on webinar. Ranveer was speaking about UIMM. UIMM is the French Association of the Metallurgic Industry, which brings together 43,000 enterprises. Most of them are, of course, small or some medium. They are also the biggest multinational in France and in the world, but the big enterprises don't need, or they believe that they don't need to work with a small fry. The idea that where I disagree. So when you will be in France, contact me.
Thank you so much, Christoph. I know that you had Ranveer with us today from your side, but I could not resist after I saw you on the screen. I wanted a few words from you too. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
I'd like to throw open the floor to all the participants who are here. Would you like to ask any questions to any of the panelists? Please first introduce yourself and direct the question whom you would like to address it to. Most welcome to ask your questions to our eminent panelists today. Any questions from anyone? I know we have overshot our time by 30 minutes, but we'll be able to take for 2 or 3 questions. Okay, looks like everything was self-explanatory. We'll be sharing all the presentation with all the participants and any of the questions, we'll share the panelists' details also. In case any support is needed from us at Indian Chamber of International Business, please feel free to contact us and we'll be more than happy to assist you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners and supporters today for this event. Thank you, Business France. Thank you, Niti Aayog, Atal Innovation Mission. A big thank you to Nord France Invest, our state partner for the state of Maharashtra, Maharashtra Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. Our event today supported by Mahindra World City Origins, knowledge partner, the Kanudoshi Group. Thank you so much, all the lovely panelists we've had here today. We'll be more than happy to ensure that we push the ecosystem of innovation and ensure that we interact with each other and support each other and take this ahead as a panel. Thank you so much once again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks to you, Manpreet, and take care and stay safe. See you soon. Fir milenge.
Thank you.
Yes.
That is so nice.
And Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Sri Akal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.